Are you struggling to create chances on FC25? Don't worry, because after watching this video, you will be able to score against anyone, even those players who are using 5 at the back formation. First step is to learn how to trigger manual run. The L1 LB button sends a player on a run forward. As you can see, Vinicius and Mendy are running forward. When we click R1 RB, they come short to collect the ball. Now you can make anyone run. You just have to point the left stick towards them. I will tell Valverde to run. See, pointed my left stick, he is running. I will tell Vinicius to run, now he is running. You can do the same thing with calling players short. Just point your left stick in the direction of that player and click R1, they will come short. Now it is important to understand our attack starts the moment we win the ball in our own half. Now that sounds very straightforward, but sometimes players forget that. We need to have a plan, and this is how a plan looks like. Our first goal is to get out of our own half. Our second goal is to transition from midfield to attack. And our third goal is to take a shot on goal. Once we have these simplistic goals during our attack, attacking becomes much easier. And the shot on goal that we are going to take, it needs to be a productive shot, not a random shot. And this is exactly what this video is leading toward. As you can see, when we are building up, we need to be very careful of our surroundings. We have to see which player our opponent is controlling and where is the empty space. Empty space being the key. The radar is a great tool in order to spot that empty space. So always glance at it when you're building up. This year, switching of sides isn't that good and you can lose the ball. So I would suggest avoid doing that when you can. Instead, use driven passes. The R1X RBA driven passes travel faster and are harder to intercept. Remember, when you're playing out from the back, you always have a triangle available between your left center back, your left back, your left mid slash left winger, or your right center back, your right back, and your right mid. If your opponent is marking one of those players, do not be afraid to play an extra pass to your other center back or your midfielder and then lay the ball out wide. However, I would suggest that you almost always lay the ball out wide, especially with your center backs, rather than going from your CB to your CM. If that pass gets intercepted, your opponent could be through on goal. I know you might be wondering, but I am too slow when I am doing all of that. Either my passes get intercepted or I am just too clueless in attack. So in order to have faster attacks with a consistent tempo, you need to follow consistent attacking patterns. When we follow a certain attacking pattern over and over again, it becomes a part of our muscle memory. This is how we become more effective at attacking and our attacking tempo increases. The moment our tempo increases, we become harder to predict. An example of always following an attacking pattern is attacking in triangles. Remember the 3-man build-up rule. Always try to involve 3 players in the build-up and try to pass the ball in triangles. Once you do it over and over again, and it is a part of your muscle memory, like I said, that is when you will be attacking much faster. Our second goal is to transition from midfield to attack, and this can be hard in this game. Here we will use the concept of manual runs. You always have to create motion in your attack. By always creating motion in your attack, you give your opponent more than one thing to think about, and that is what we want, right? As marking 3 players in attack is harder than marking 1 player. Our end goal remains the same. We have to find the space to attack. I consistently try to bait the defenders to attack me. In doing so, they leave some space in behind, and when they do that, that is when I exploit that space using the L1 speed boost, a pass, or a skill move, and that's how we transition from midfield to attack, which eventually leads to the fulfillment of our third goal, a shot on goal. But what if there is a defender in front of you and you struggle to beat that defender? Don't worry, that is exactly what we are going to talk about next. And I am going to teach you an overpowered mechanic that will help create more uncertainty in the mind of your opponent. The more uncertain he is, the more likely he is to make a mistake. The mechanic I am talking about is the player lock. So in order to perform a player lock, you will press R3, press L3 on the controller and then flick the right stick towards the player you want to pass the ball towards, alright? And you can cancel the player lock by pressing R3 and L3 again. For example, when you're on the wing, you want to do a cutback, you can indeed use a player lock. You can use it to perform L1 triangle passes towards your striker. You can use it for almost anything on the pitch. Now it is time to learn how we can beat defenders consistently in a 1v1. We have to use this key concept. I call it element of surprise. It could be a skill move or a well-timed speed boost or almost anything as long as it serves the purpose of an element of surprise. As you can see, we are going to perform a double ball roll as it is an element of surprise. Ball roll inside, we make our opponent think we are going to pass the ball inside. Then we ball roll towards the outside. Immediately we take a shot on goal and we end up scoring because we use the element of surprise. Now in order to create that element of surprise, and this is what pro players are so good at, you have to play this game a lot. That is one. And number two, you have to improve the skill of anticipation, as anticipation is one of the core fundamentals of this game. And then learn how to read your opponent. You have to get into the mind of your opponent. Once you can see where is he moving, what is he thinking, what does he expect me to do, where is the space, and how can I do something that he is not expecting me to do. Learn the overpowered skill moves, know their exit directions, and always pay attention to what your opponent is doing. If he is moving in one direction and if he thinks you're going to pass, don't pass. If he thinks you're not going to pass the ball. Once you practice it consistently, it will become a part of your muscle memory, and that is when you're going to improve at element of surprise. What if I told you I found a really overpowered dribbling trick? Check this video out here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.